All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted from my basement, but soon to be studios at the Junction in Old Hilliard. And speaking of Old Hilliard, today is a friend of show, friend to me, a guy that, as evidenced by the hat, he's rocking the Unscripted hat. If you're watching the video, if you're not, pull up the video, you'll see the Unscripted hat, which I appreciate very much. But friend to me and a guy I just genuinely love. Lieutenant Doug Lightfoot is with me today. He's my guest. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and maybe fill in the gaps from there, and we will roll.
Okay. Uh, as you mentioned, I work for the lieutenant. I work for the Hilliard Police Department. I've been there, just celebrated my 17th anniversary there. I've served in a variety of roles with the Hilliard Police Department, and been a patrol officer, canine handler. Worked in investigations for a while. Back into patrol through promotions, and then now I'm back into investigations. So done a variety of roles there in the community. Women's self-defense instructor. Also firearms instructor and active shooter instructor for our agency. Done a lot of public appearances when I was a canine handler, especially. My dog and I have been all over Hilliard in central Ohio. And then I'm married to the love of my life. We're 21 years of marriage. She's put up with a lot. Yeah, I have 4 children. I've had 2 daughters by a previous marriage, and I now have 2 son-in-laws. So I say I have 2 sons. Then my wife and I have 2 sons together, and I'm also a grandpa now, which is pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome. And at least one son is in the Navy, correct?
That's correct. My oldest son is at boot camp right now.
Boot camp right now. And you and I had lunch a couple weeks ago and talking a little bit about that in San Diego and what those guys go through. And as always, whenever I have someone on that has ties to the service, I want to thank you, first of all, for your service to our community. And I want to thank you for your son's service to our country. Always want to pay those respects. So I'm thankful. And I really am thankful. You and I joked when we had lunch, the Hilliard community police department is awesome. And I told you a few stories of, I should clarify because it's going to sound like I've had run-ins with the police. I haven't had run-ins with the police. They were all, legitimate things, not bad things. But anytime I've had interaction, let me say that interaction with the Hilliard police, they've been fantastic. Genuine, kind, and I love this community because of that. It's a safe community. It's a wonderful community, and that's because of your team and your service to people like myself. So, but there's nothing like being woken up at 12:30 at night because your garage door's open.
Yeah, that is a unique service, because one of our things obviously is crime prevention, and that's one way that we do it. We patrol neighborhoods where we're looking, can we be everywhere at once and prevent 100%? Absolutely not.
Right.
But we do try to be a full service police department because that is how we look at it. We are public servants.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the ways we serve the community that we love. And you and I both follow each other on Twitter and other places, and I talk all the time about our service, and that's exactly what we do. We're here to provide a service to the community.
Yeah, and you do, and I'm kidding as I say that, but nothing will make you sit up straight in bed more than. And our doorbell's broke, so there's a pounding on the door, and nothing will make, especially when you got 3 kids that are teenagers, nothing will make you sit more up straight in bed when they're pounding on the door at 12:30, and then to look out the window and see a policeman there. It's a little unnerving, but it's always somewhat of relief when they say your garage door's open.
Right.
So if that's the worst they tell me, okay, cool, I got you. So anyway, what made you choose this role, this path as a career?
Well, I actually made the switch late. I worked in a private industry for many years. My specialty is electrical instrumentation and automation. And when I was in my early 30s, God put it on my heart to go a different route. When I was a kid, I always thought about becoming a police officer, but my ultimate goal was to follow my dad and my grandfather into the Navy. And I was medically disqualified from the Navy. And it actually took me probably 15 years to get over that, because that was my plan A, because I had no plan B. Well, I ended up taking this other route. And like I said, my late 20s, early 30s, God put it on my heart to make a change. And I met with some people individually, people who weren't related to each other. Their only common denominator was me, to ask for prayer and ask for guidance. And to a person, they're like, police work. And at the time, I was actually considering the fire service because of the chance to be an EMT, but made the move to law enforcement, put myself through a police academy, and that was hard. When you have 2 daughters, you get to see every other weekend. My oldest son had just been born. He was born, we had the taxes September 11th, and he was born in November 22nd. And then I started the police academy January 3rd. So I had a newborn son at home. My job I had at the time, I worked an average of 48 hours a week in private industry. And then I was going to classes 25 to 30 hours a week. So it was tough. My wife was basically a single mom with a newborn.
Oh, wow.
That's why I said she's just all, I definitely outkicked my coverage.
We all.
With her. But God put on my heart. I worked for a small township police department, Clinton Township Police, for a year and a half. Tried twice to get on with Hilliard, and the second time it worked out. And I've been blessed to serve this community since. And I talk about it all the time. It is a blessing to serve this community.
And serve it well, and you do, and that's why I'm so thankful for our friendship. And again, I'm thankful for this community. It is home. Cleveland will always be my home because that's where I spent a majority of my years growing up. But all 3 of my kids have lived in, were born in Columbus. We've been in Hilliard. All 3 of them have been born and raised here, and I don't have any plans to leave, even though we've tried a few times, as I've mentioned in other podcasts. But right. Hilliard is a wonderful town, and I'm thankful for your leadership and your team. Definitely thankful, and thank you for your service again. But I want to talk about, there's a lot of ways we could go today, because I think in 2020-ish, 2021 / whatever you want to call it, there's been a lot of talk about police and all these other things. I don't even want to go there unless you do. I really don't want to spend time on that today, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have a job to do. I appreciate the job that you do. I appreciate all of your team, and I back the blue. So let's just leave it at that. That said, you and I met. I think the first time we ever met was for Penny for a Pound, and so and I think is that right?
Actually, no. It was another fundraiser for Sun Ministries. It came in.
Oh, yes.
And we had the Hilliard Police put together a thing where we did in your weightlifting center. At the Bodome. Where we talked people through exercises and things like that, and that's where we first met. And one of the officers I worked with had reached out to you while I was working with some other people, and then he introduced you and and then it went from there. Yeah.
And that's, I thought it was but you're correct. And Sun Ministries, shout out to Sun Ministries, because they have an incredible thing. Someday I'll have to get Kim on and let them tell their story. But that said, we at least got to know each other a lot better through Penny for a Pound. And so why don't you tell this audience about Penny for a Pound, because it's awesome. And it's something that is near and dear to your heart. And you guys have made some huge impacts over the last few years. So let's start with Penny for a Pound. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about it?
Sure. Several years ago, so I'm thinking it's about 6 or 7 years ago, I've been a Tim Tebow fan for a long time. Read his books, heard him speak, follow him on all the social media platforms. And he made a statement one day. He said, find a way to use and I'm obviously paraphrasing, but he was basically saying, find a way to use your passion to invest in others. And one of my passions is lifting weights, fitness. And that struck home with me, because, passion is living out my faith. My faith drives my service.
Mhm.
So what was a way that we could bring this to the forefront? Well, the year before this happened, I had gotten promoted to patrol sergeant, and I'm sitting on our roll call one day, and I looked around the room and I realized there was at least one officer in that room that if something happened, I would probably have problems pulling him to safety.
Mm.
And for me, I couldn't allow that to happen. So I had to make some changes. As a matter of fact, when I got off second shift that night, I went home and worked out for an hour.
Mm.
I had let myself go physically. I was
Mhm.
overweight. I had 2 chins. A third chin was starting. Weighed the most I had ever weighed in my life. My blood pressure was through the roof. I had all these issues, so I knew I had to make some changes. And then as I made the changes, I started encouraging others. And there was 3 or 4 of us sitting around one day when we were talking who said, well, we know in law enforcement, we need strength.
Mm.
You know, since you played basketball and all kinds of sports, that if you need to run just a little bit farther, no matter how tired you are, you can take a few more steps.
Right. Right.
Now, I as I shared with you earlier, I used to box, and I had delusions of grandeur of being a pro fighter at one time.
Mhm.
And so if I needed to throw another strike, I could throw another strike. But if you need to lift one more extra pound, you're not going to be able to do it. You can't fake strength.
Yeah.
So we talked about what are some ways we can encourage strength and fitness and police officers. So we talked about having a weightlifting fundraiser, and then there's some talk back and forth. Do we want it to be a fundraiser? Or do we want it to be a competition? Well, no, we're going to do it for the good of everyone. So let's collaborate on it, and we'll make it a fundraiser. So we got together. We picked the 3 main lifts we actually picked 4 for a bench press, squat, deadlift, and overhead press. And then whatever your maximum is, you add it together, and then people sponsor you a penny for every pound you lift. So if your total adds up to 1,200 pounds for the max on the lifts, then people would donate $12 to whatever charity. First year we did Hilliard Food Pantry. We raised about $400.
That's awesome.
And we did the lifting at Darby High School. They opened up their facility to us on a Saturday.
Mhm.
And the year number 2, we did Get Behind the Badge, which was really important to us because the year before we had lost Sean in the crash, and so this was a chance to give back to them what they Get Behind the Badge did for Sean's family.
Yeah.
We raised about $1,000 for them. The following year, we did Children's Hospital, which was year 3, and that was the first year we actually did it at the Bow Dome with you guys.
Yep.
I forget exactly how much we raised. I'm wanting to say it was around $1,500.
I feel like that was about right. Yeah.
And then year 4 was the big year. Our Citizens Police Academy jumped in, and what an awesome group of volunteers that give to the community. And they jumped in and helped us set up online donations and do these other things that it just was really outside of my realm of expertise and outside of I would definitely say outside my comfort zone. And they're a 501c3 organization, so it just made a lot of things easier. And we chose Special Olympics Ohio. And what made this so cool was that was the same year several local athletes were going, I think it was Dubai, for the World Games.
Right.
And 2 of them got gold medals. 2 of them from Central Ohio. One gentleman's name was Garrett, who was, I think, from the Pickerington area. And then a local athlete, I think he's a Darby High School grad, Jabari, got gold medal in track and field. That's awesome. To have those interactions, several of the athletes came out not only that day, but also to when we did a check presentation, and we raised over $5,000. Wow. Just tremendous awesome. Outpouring. Yeah. And what was really cool, I got to go before city council and talk about it. Several city council members donated. A couple of them came out to the event at the Bow Dome. It was awesome to see them. The Hilliard police chief was there. Hilliard fire chief was there, and the Norwich fire chief. And that was the other cool thing. Starting year 3, which was the first year at the Bow Dome, we partnered up with the firefighters. I'm sorry, that was in year 2. And then year 4, we opened it up to police and fire from throughout Central Ohio. We only had one other agency join us, Grove City Police had 3 officers come over, but we were hitting good stride, and unfortunately COVID hit. We had the 2021 scheduled. I actually had talked to you through email and on the phone.
Sure. Yep.
And we were supposed to come out and do our visit. And then unfortunately 3 weeks before that, COVID, all the restrictions hit and kind of put a kibosh on that. And we're definitely looking forward to getting it going back again. We hope and pray in 21. But it's been hard not having it, because really we would be in full planning mode right now, because we usually have it
March,
just before, just after Easter is when we have it going into springtime. And it's something we look forward to doing, and it's just such an opportunity to give back. And what's really funny, and you saw some of it, we have an awesome working relationship with the Norwich Township Fire Department. I consider many of those people to be good friends, and we're in there harassing each other.
It's
just
fun.
throwing barbs back and forth, cracking on each other, just having a good time. We had kids come up to us, that were there watching siblings play or practice or doing, they were doing it themselves, coming up and getting pictures with us. We had some friends of mine from the powerlifting and strongman community there helping out. So it was a real good team effort to raise money for some pretty awesome athletes.
Yeah. And we can go ahead and make this announcement. We already talked about this a little bit offline.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go ahead and make it. The new home of the Penny for a Pound Challenge is also my new home, and that is the Spot Athletics in Dublin and Grandview, and details to come. But I welcome and can't wait to host this event. And maybe, we got a lot of planning to do, because we may do it in 2 places. We may do it in downtown in Grandview, and we may do one in Dublin at the new location. So, but the bottom line is the Spot Athletics is 110% behind this. And we believe in what you guys do. I believe in what you guys do. Therefore, the Spot Athletics is going to believe in what you do. No, I'm really excited. And I've already talked to our ownership, our leadership, and they are 100% behind this, because this is what it's about. It's not about, a lot of things, and 100% behind you guys. It is in Dublin, not Hilliard, but at the same time, maybe that'll open it up for some other things. My brother-in-law, I think I might have told you this, my brother-in-law, I believe, is in Delaware. I should probably know this, but with the fire team there. And so I'm gonna have to get on him, because he's a guy that's much like yourself. He works out quite a bit, unlike myself, but he works out quite a bit, and he's in fantastic shape. I know he wants his team in shape, as you said. Those guys got to be ready. And so I'm gonna throw out the challenge to CJ. I don't know if CJ listens, but CJ, if you're listening, man, Penny for Pound, Spot Athletics, it's on. It's on.
That would be great, because we know that as first responders, and I count medical personnel, and in ERs. Over the years, I've gotten to know some, and nothing but respect for what they do. And having strength and having fitness not only helps us do the job. I'm sorry, my pups keep moving the.
It's unscripted. It's always welcome. Yeah. It's always welcome.
She wants back outside, because I'm sure there's a bird who's invaded her territory. Anyway, we need it for the mental health aspect. Right now, it's estimated, depending on who you talk to, but the number of police officer suicides is about 3 for every 1 who dies in the line of duty.
Man. And
so we've got to address that. And this has been an unfortunate trend for a long time. We've seen it in the military. We've seen it in the fire service, and now we're seeing it in as peace officers. So, it's as much for the mental and physical, emotional, and spiritual health, all 4 pillars.
Yeah.
And that's what I firmly believe. That's what I teach, and that's what I encourage.
Do you have and this is probably, and if you say no, that's fine. Do you have a group that you already have sights on for the next Penny for Pound? What have you already identified a particular charity or anything?
Not for the next one. Yeah, we've talked about it. We've got a couple. But what's happened is, and I kudos to some of my officers who came up with this. This is just phenomenal. So, as I said earlier, we had already started the planning process. We were 3 weeks out and we had to cancel. Several people had already donated, paid their registration fees. And so they asked what we were going to do with the money we had already raised. It was right around $1,000. And I said, you know what, let me look into it. And I found out that Darby High School is building a new fitness center. And as part of the fitness center, which is so cool with what they're doing, first of all, there's no taxpayer money going to it. It's 100% donations from businesses and individuals. And one of the things they're going to have there is an area just for adaptive athletes. So people who have mental and physical challenges will have their own area to train in. And the life skill kids especially at Darby High School, I've gotten to know over the years. My K9 and I would go into their class. They're wonderful, wonderful human beings.
Love them all.
And, they usually make 2 trips a year to see me, one in the fall, one in the spring. Yeah. They'll walk over to the PD and ask to meet with me. I'll go down and see them. And now they're going to have an area just for them.
That's awesome.
Inside this. So what we're going to do is we're going to be presenting that money that we already raised, that should have been raised for the 2020 event. That's going to go to them. And then we're going to look at, we've had a couple ideas thrown out for our next one, which we pray and hope is in 21.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
We're going to make that happen. It's too important to not make it happen. And because I don't want to breeze by something you said prior to that, and that is, for your team, this is as much for you guys as it is for any charity that you do, because of the statistic that you mentioned. And I wrote that down while you were talking. I don't want to breeze by that. There's something wrong with that. We got to fix that. We have to help with that statistic. We got to make that right. So I think an event like this, or any event, is important to make that number go down. We got to do our part too. So, but that said, I love the life skills classes. We talked awesome. About it at lunch. In my previous facility, the life skills were my favorite days. We've had pro athletes, we've had minor league athletes, we've had a lot of different things, and I got to rub elbows with a lot of really cool people, including Bo Jackson himself. My favorite days at the Dome were the life skills class. And I mean that 100%. I wish I was in my office upstairs, because I would show you the handwritten notes that I get after they come. They're thank you notes. I keep those because those are so meaningful to me, because we take for granted the fact that, my son, as you know, my son plays in college, and I have a daughter going to do track next year in college, and a third that's was in districts this weekend for swimming. We take that for granted as parents, and we get caught up in the travel stuff and the this and the that and the leagues and the what team are they on. And at the end of the day, the life skills kids, they get it right. They just want to play, and they love, they're just wonderful. And I can't wait. I can't wait till we're post-COVID, and I hope that I get them to the spot as well. And you can guarantee that that's going to be a call for Hilliard schools. I hope they'll come over to Dublin, because those are my favorite days, and they're my favorite people.
Absolutely. I made some deep connections with some of them they've graduated and moved on. But Rock City had the drive-through night event a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And I was there, and one young man from that class, he graduated like 3 or 4 years ago. He sees me, leans out of his parents' vehicle to give me a hug.
That's awesome.
Those are connections that are just truly tremendous.
All that stuff lasts forever. Everything else doesn't matter. And I think, we all know that life's very short. And I know you and I read a lot of the same books. We listen to a lot of the same podcasts. We follow a lot of the same people on Twitter. You are, speaking of Twitter, just an awesome guy on Twitter. Always encouraging, always liking, sharing, tweeting. So first of all, what is your Twitter? Just so everybody that listens to this can follow you.
Oh, I'm going to have to look
It's Lieutenant Light, or no, it's Lightfoot Clan. It's at Lightfoot Clan.
I think that's what it is. Right. Because I literally have my own tribe.
That's I want to make sure we get it right.
It's Lightfoot Clan.
There you go. And
light is in light. Yeah, light is in light switch, and then foot is in foot, and then clan.
Lightfoot Clan. And I love, you and I talked about this at lunch. I love that there's other people in my life that now follow you and you follow them. And I see you all interacting, and that makes me so happy.
There's some just pretty awesome ones.
Yeah. It's so cool to see you guys interact, because they're good people, you're good people. And I just like to see that as a bystander, just to watch. So, all right. So penny for pound, let's just finish that up. So if anybody's listening to this and they wanted to donate for whenever we're going to do penny for pound again, is there a website or is there an email? Is it what if I'm driving down the road and I feel this pull towards, what, I want to back the blue. I want to back what you're doing. Even if I don't want to back the blue, if I want to back what you're doing and who you're doing it for, how do I do that?
Well, our penny for a pound does have a Facebook page. I stopped my Facebook account, but
good for you.
I had to disable it.
Yeah.
But there is a penny for a pound Facebook page.
Okay.
Also, our Hilliard Citizen Police alumni, I believe, has a Facebook page.
Okay.
They're the ones that handle all the financial part. I kind of got a little weird with it. I just don't think police officers should be collecting money.
Even
if it is for a charity. So we worked with them. There was an email, but I'm sorry, I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I know our Hilliard Citizens Police Alumni Association, if somebody wanted to reach out via our Facebook page, the Hilliard Police Facebook page, I could probably get that information to them.
Okay. Well, and here's what I'll do. Anybody listening to this, I'll give you my email address.
There you go.
And then we'll figure it out. So anybody listening to this, Aaron, AARON @aaronconrad.com. Email me and we'll figure it out from there. But if you feel that tug on your heart and really believe in what they're doing, and I would tell you this, believe in it because I believe in it, and I don't really have people on that I don't believe in. So it's my show. I'll do what I want. and I believe in everything that you all do. And if you're hearing this and you feel that tug on your heart, just email me, Aaron @aaronconrad.com, and we'll get you taken care of. We'll get you all set up. I really am looking forward to this at the spot. I think it's going to be a really cool day. And I think you and I working together, are going to really do some fun stuff there. So
absolutely.
I'm thankful for your friendship and all those things. So
I'm thankful for the opportunity because, our motto for penny for a pound is first responders lifting up the community.
Yeah.
And because we take being community servants very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And there's, if you see a Hilliard police officer, there's a very good chance that officer will stop what he or she is doing and interact. I serve with some awesome human beings, and I'm thankful for them every day.
Yeah. Co-signed, and they serve a great leader. And so I think it's all very trickle down. It starts at the top, and I think your leadership with that team is what really drives, the kind of community that we have. So another question for you when it comes to what is the best way? Let me hang on, pause. Unscripted. All right. So on Twitter, you guys got to go watch on Twitter, because not only does Lieutenant Lightfoot run penny for pound, the guy gets after it. I'm just gonna say, you got to go on his Twitter account and watch some of these workouts. Like, you don't just work out. You're talking, like, I've seen you lift like cars and houses and all kinds of stuff. Like there's you don't just lift weights or sling weight around. Like you do some crazy stuff when it comes to the workouts. So you definitely back what you're doing. What drives you to do those things?
Well, we talk about functional fitness. You hear that constantly. And I understand the concept, but I also look at what is practical applications. Practical applications is picking something heavy up off the ground, picking something heavy up off the ground and moving it, picking something heavy off the ground and putting it up to an elevated location. I've had to do all of that in the line of duty. As I shared earlier, we have a very close working relationship with our fire department. And while I've had to use strength to help control a combative individual, I've used it just as much to work with the fire department to get somebody out of an area to where they could be treated, where they could be transported. I've helped get people out of cars, out of ditches, out of basements, out of second floors. One gentleman was trapped between a very large bed and the wall, and I was first one on scene. So all of those things, because we do go on runs with the fire department, you really do get an awesome partnership. And I can really thank the leadership of the Hilliard Police Department and Norwich Township Fire for the work they do together for our community. And so that's why doing stuff like some of the crazy things you've seen, picking up stones.
That's right.
Deadlifting. I did deadlift a Camaro.
That's
right. at one of the back end of a Camaro. Back end of a Camaro. Sorry, my wife just came home and the dog was greeting her.
Hey, it's unscripted. It's fine. It's okay.
When you think about all the stuff we would have to do in a rescue situation, the other thing too, and there's been a lot of studies out there and tests with our equipment on and our uniform and stuff, we lose about 50% of our flexibility and our mobility. And then also, you never know when it's going to happen. So when you show up, it is as is. Yeah. And so having that type of strength needed to move those kind of things, especially if there's two of you, and that's one of the things I like. Our officers do work out, they do train, and it's practical applications. You do need the base stuff, like I talked about earlier, the bench press, the squat, the overhead press, and the deadlift. Strengthen those areas, but then being able to apply it to odd objects, because that is reality, that is life.
Absolutely. All right, you ready for rapid fire? Is that, can I say that? Can I say that for police?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Let's do some rapid fire.
Okay.
Favorite day ever as a policeman?
Favorite day ever as a policeman? Probably, I would say it was day one. I started with the Hilliard Police Department, has to be up there. Another day, Eros and I, Eros is my K9. We found a really bad individual who we were helping another agency. This guy had been to prison for stabbing somebody, assaulted another person, and fled into a wood line with a knife. And dangerous situation. My pup and I went and got him.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
All right. I won't ask worst day because I've heard some terrible stories. I don't. It's a family show.
Well, I just, sometimes I wish that my brain could forget what my eyes have seen and my ears have heard.
Oh, there you go. That's all you got to say. Imagine. And again, that's why we owe you all due respect. It's not what you see on TV. It's, I have enough friends that work much like yourself, and some of the stories I've heard are just horrific, and I don't think any of us have a clue. A bad day for us is nothing compared to what you all do. So okay, so what is one thing that you wish everybody knew, or and again, there's always the rule to pass if you want to. What's one thing that you wish everybody knew about the police department?
I wish they knew the heart of our officers.
Mm.
We have officers that are coaches, Sunday school leaders. They volunteer in a variety of roles that you will never hear about. And one of the things that gets misconstrued is that police, our kids go to school with your kids.
Right.
Our kids play sports with your kids.
Yep.
We go to your church. Social, some other social venue. We are part of the community as a whole. And I wish more people understood the human side of it. And that gets lost in translation.
100%. This might be a past question, and it's okay. How difficult was this past summer?
Incredibly.
Yeah.
I worked, there was a contingent of us who assisted Columbus Police downtown. I was down there 8 days. It was hard to see. It was hard that people who say they stand against hate, that they stand against prejudice, had no problem displaying all the above towards police officers.
Yes. Right.
And now at the same time, there was a couple times I had some wonderful conversations with people who were at the protest. And that was very encouraging to me. One gentleman who came up and talked to me, I met him. His wife had went and sat in the vehicle, and as he came up to me, he said, he goes, obviously I'm black, and he saw my wife over there, she's white, and we have 4 biracial kids. What do I tell my kids about this? And we proceeded to have about a 45-minute conversation. And I think it would have went longer if he hadn't said, I think my wife's waiting on me. I got to go.
That's right.
I said, I'm married too, and I understand that 100%.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But conversations need to happen.
Yeah.
And one of the things is we think that we can legislate, and we think that we can, I make everything at a systemic level, when really it's the one-on-one relationships, it's the one-on-one connections that carry the biggest weight, make the biggest difference. I mean, you can legislate stuff all day long, but we legislate against drunk driving, but people are killed by drunk drivers every day.
Every day. Yeah.
So
and I think those one-on-one conversations is where we start to put down a foundation for the future and change. It's going to happen. It's going to happen shoulder to shoulder, coffee mug over coffee mug, whatever your drink of choice. That's when we start to turn the corner on this thing, and not in a line in front of the State House. I'm sorry, political rant.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Family Force 5, Christian group from the early 2000s, who had a song that said they never saw someone's mind changed by a protest.
That's right.
And I'm paraphrasing it, but I remember it was really close to that. And boy, that hit home.
Yeah.
And, we've had some pretty, I personally have had some pretty in-depth discussions with people who are totally and completely politically opposite of me. And I still love them to this day.
Absolutely. Right.
And there's so many assumptions made. There's assumptions made about me because of my uniform and what it represents.
Right.
And because those assumptions will then cloud or really cloud somebody's judgment, or cause them to not want to make that interaction.
Right.
And that's unfortunate, because I'll talk to anybody.
Right.
I'll there may be times when I put a conversation on hold, because I don't like the direction it's going, and there's nothing that's going to be accomplished from, butting heads.
Right.
But, you know, I think that's one of the things that's missing today is respectful dialogue. And then also having the right time and place for that respectful dialogue.
Right.
And I think that's what's one of the things that's missing. How many people do you see in one of the drawbacks of social media, and especially Twitter? I've had some really nasty comments, and the person, I have no clue who they are, and there's no name attached to some made up thing.
Yeah.
And it's allowing people to hide.
Right. Hide behind a keyboard.
Yeah. And when reality, I don't mind having a discussion.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're lacking in society today. We have a chance, and kudos to my chief, Robert Fisher, and several of our officers. While things were going on downtown in Columbus, there were some protests in Hilliard, and our chief and other officers got out there and met with them and had wonderful dialogue. And you didn't see a protest turn into a riot.
No, I was down there a few times. My wife and I were down there on a Friday night or Saturday night because Old Hilliard's awesome, and we were just hanging out, and we were at Crooked Can, or one of the places downtown, and as you said, they were peaceful. They were well within their right to do so. Chief Fisher is a great man, by the way. I 100% agree with you. He's a great man, and we're just blessed. We're blessed with great people. I want to make sure before we get off that you and I bring up a book that we talked about over lunch, and you'll have to remind me because it's terrible that I forgot the name of the book again. So you've been a huge supporter. I mean, Heart of a Warrior, which I still need to finish that book. But what was the one, Adam? Tell me again. Navy
You're
SEAL?
talking about Adam Brown, Fearless.
Adam Brown, Fearless. Thank you. I should know that because the book was life-changing, and you and I talked about it. So anybody listening to this, check out the book. It's about a guy named Adam Brown, Navy SEAL, true story. As I understand it, his team was the team that did the recon for what ultimately became us getting bin Laden. So whether or not that's true, it doesn't matter. Adam Brown was a servant, was a Navy SEAL, gave his life for this country. He was a Christian, an incredible dad, and just an amazing book. Tell me one more time what it was called.
Fearless.
Thank you. And I can't believe I can't remember that. But Fearless, Adam Brown. If you're listening to this, write it down, or wait till you get home, write it down. Check out that book. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And one of the things about Adam, he's incredibly real, or his family was. Yeah. But Adam was also kind of an anomaly. He had a significant history of hard drug use.
Yeah.
But was able to get into the Navy. He completed rehab, completed some things. Went on to become a SEAL, which in and of itself is a tremendous accomplishment. And then he did have one relapse that his wife talks about in incredible detail. What a strong, amazing woman.
Yeah.
And then while he was in Iraq, I believe it was, his vehicle got hit by an IED.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It flipped on its side, and it actually chopped off all 4 fingers of his gun hand.
Yep.
So he had to have them sewn back on. Well, then he gets the opportunity to try out for DevGru, which is Team 6, and has to go through what's called Green Team training, which is, think of Bud School on steroids.
Right.
That's Green Team training, and he did it all left-handed.
Right.
So
didn't he have? Am I wrong? And did he not have a problem with one of his eyes too?
I think that the same
accident.
It also damaged one of his eyes.
So the guy's out there with a bad eye, and he's literally competed. He completed the highest level of training. It was unbelievable. It's an unbelievable book. It's an incredible story. A Christian man, a family man. You and I talked about this at lunch. I don't know if there's ever been a book where I had to close the book and walk away. not because I was mad, because I could not keep going. Ultimately he passes away. And I got to a place in the book where I had to walk away. I was too emotional, and that's how invested I was in the book. And that's how well the book is written. It pulls you in and tells you his story. It's an incredible story, but literally that's one of the only times I can think of where I had to shut the book and walk away, because I just could not. I couldn't deal at that moment. I had to come back and take it in bite-sized pieces. Incredible story of bravery. And if you don't honor our military after reading that book, you better something's got to be checked out, because it's an incredible book and story.
It absolutely is. And one of the things that I've as you and I have talked as you progress with your podcast, you've had some amazing authors on. You had just Doug Bender, just had him on again.
Love
and
Doug.
His book, I Am Second, I actually read that in 2 days.
Wow.
And
wow.
It would have been done in a day if I had not gone to work. And the changes in people's lives when they put God first. And that's a change that, I fought against. I kept telling God, you got a sense of humor here, because I don't like where this is going. But I know the change that has come over my life. And I still, as I told my wife when she agreed to marry me, that I was a continuous improvement project.
That's right.
And I've lived up to that. But the I Am Second, The Heart of the Warrior, from Michael Thompson.
Yeah.
I also got the companion book to that one. People, books, as we talked earlier about conversation, making connections, a way you can make connections is through books.
Yeah.
Through good books. I'm coming home from work one day and I'd had a really, really tough week. My phone rings and it's a gentleman from my church who hadn't really talked to him a whole lot lately, and life busyness. And I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And he said, "I called to thank you." Thinking, thank me for what? You and I haven't had more than a 2-minute conversation in about 3 years. It's usually just in passing. And he said, about 3 years ago, you gave me a book called Kingdom Man. And I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Yeah, I remember that book." He said, he goes, "I've needed to make some changes in my life, and that book was on my heart."
Wow.
He said, "So I opened it," and he said, "In 2 days I read it, and I'm back reading it again, and I just needed to call you and tell you thank you."
That's awesome.
So I encourage people, if God puts something on your heart, whether it's a book or just a phone call or a text, do it. You never know how it may impact somebody's life. And that's one reason I consider getting off Twitter. But I have a chance to interact. And even if I see a prayer request come across, even if I don't know the person, to take a moment to pray for that prayer request. And because I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe in encouraging people through prayer. And we only get one shot at this life.
That's right.
So I personally plan on making the most of it, and loving on other people is how I'm going to do that.
And you do. And that is, your encouragement on Twitter means the world to me, and your friendship means the world to me. And you're not just a guy saying that. And I hope people that hear this or watch this, that they really are getting that out of this, and it's not just because you're wearing my Unscripted hat. No, I'm a huge fan. I'm so thankful for you, for your friendship, for your leadership, for your mentorship in my life. I've talked about books, and every time I'm around you, I walk away better. And even at Kohl's, remember when we were shopping at Kohl's?
I ran into my wife and I I forget. Yeah,
I walked away better, and it was just at Kohl's. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when I run into you, where I run into you. I walk away better for those interactions. You're a great man. Our town is, we're better because of your service to our town and your team. And we're thankful, and I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for you coming on. One last book recommendation that I have for you and this audience is Jimmy Dykes, The Film Doesn't Lie. Jimmy Dykes, The Film Doesn't Lie. Most people know Jimmy Dykes from ESPN. We were going to record last week. I'm not promoting my own podcast, but we were going to record last week. But he is obviously in the throes of college basketball right now. And, ESPN added a game to his schedule on Thursday night. We were going to record last Thursday. I will get Jimmy on, but even if I never do, I'm blown away by the book, The Film Doesn't Lie, Jimmy Dykes. There you go. So that's anybody listening. Incredible book. It will challenge you. And actually, once you read it, let's compare notes, because we'll compare film notes, as he calls them.
Okay.
It's an incredible book. So, man, thank you so much. I'm so honored that you're my friend. I'm honored that we've had this time together, and that you serve our city well. And I pray for you and your safety, and for your team's safety.
Well, I appreciate your prayers, your support, and your friendship. It means a great deal to me. Thank you for the opportunity to be on here and brag about some pretty awesome people that I serve with.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. And stay tuned, because the penny for pound at the Spot Athletics is going to be, as the kids say today, lit this year. Whenever we do it, it's gonna be the best one ever. And we'll get you on again when we lock down a date, time.
Okay.
We already know location, so when we lock down a date, time, and where that those donations are going to go to, let's get you on again, and let's really let's talk about it again, because I have a feeling people are going to be teed up, ready to help. I hope
that would be awesome.
And if you're ready to teed up, ready to help today, email me, aaron@aaronconrad.com. I will get you in touch with Lieutenant Lightfoot, and we will roll from there. So you're my friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. You have a blessed day.
You too. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Bye.